whole transition in and of itself is going to be a challenge, and I think before we talk about new technologies, we really have to settle on solidifying the base of the current technologies. There's a number of different things such as patient identity, medical identity theft, and payment fraud that will contribute significantly to financial risk that an ACO is going to take on. Settling that problem in and of itself will actually start to move an ACO towards establishing greater quality of data, and that quality of data in and of itself will lead to better clinical decision support type systems. Given that there's close to, per studies, 250,000 deaths a year based on inadequacies of the quality of the data, improving the data first and foremost is important. As far as new technologies, certainly telehealth, remote monitoring, telehealth, the market is moving towards not that you have to go to the doctor, you have to be seen by the doctor. And the more that we can create this virtual encounter for very specific use cases, the more efficient a doctor's office can be and a clinic can be relative to the delivery of care. So I look at remote monitoring and telehealth probably one of the most significant pieces of technology that will help transform the health IT market. I would say that remote monitoring and telehealth in and of itself is still in its very infancy of what it can do. It has certainly demonstrated a significant value to any healthcare organization that's looking to improve the quality of care, the delivery of care, and help move a patient very quickly along an awareness to wellness continuum. So the more that we can engage in many different facets, the better. I think there's still a long way that we need to go with remote monitoring and telehealth, but it has certainly demonstrated significant value, and again, it is truly going to be one of those transformative technologies that's going to drive the delivery of care in the future. Yeah, there's no doubt that studies have shown that the patient-to-physician engagement using telehealth has a reduced cost, but I don't know if that's enough to demonstrate the true value. You know, in some contexts, we're talking about the improvement of the overall patient experience. How do we move to value? If you're going to look at it on just a pure replacement of an encounter-based care system, it has value. But if you're going to look at telehealth in the context of there being 8,760 hours in a given year, and the average patient who has 5 chronic conditions only sees a physician 15 hours out of the year, you have a care delivery gap. And so how can telehealth actually be used more frequently to engage that patient when they don't necessarily have a scheduled appointment, but it's a tool, one of many tools that a physician's practice can use to engage that patient to understand where they are along that wellness to that awareness to wellness continuum, and ultimately making sure that their conditions are improving as prescribed, and moving along that wellness continuum. When you talk about interoperability and integration and things of that nature, there's still a very significant effort. There's no doubt that we have interoperability. The problem is that we don't have semantic interoperability, and there is a big difference between the two. I can move data from one health system to another, from one EHR to another. That is not the problem, and we got tons of standards that can help deliver that. It's how do I understand the data? You sent it to me in Italian and I speak English. All right, I don't know what you're saying. So while there are still standards on that in the MU2 world with a consolidated CDA, but the challenge here is still semantic interoperability, and how does one system digest it and realize that this information is associated to another patient that's already listed in the system, and how do I effectively merge it with 100% confidence that it is the same patient. What are we doing about that? Lenovo believes that this is a particular area that no single EHR can solve in the context of how do you integrate data with 100% accuracy. EMPIs don't do it. No single EHR does it. Every EHR has an average of 8 to 15% of duplicate records. It's just demonstration of the challenge. What we're bringing to the table is a universal patient identity platform that provides 100% matching of a patient's data. So you have one patient, you have one identity, one record. That's one of the things that Lenovo Health is bringing to the market. To date, there's been a lot of just general computing devices in the market, but they don't necessarily. Sometimes it actually hinders the goals and objectives of our clients. When you talk about infections, specifically in healthcare, sometimes if you look at some of the tablets, there's a tablet out there that has a cloth as a cover, and doctors have said, that's a cloth, that's like an infection magnet, right? We need to understand the context in which our devices are operating in, and making sure that we are not the cause of infection transition. So what we're doing is we're looking at our portfolio, and we're looking at how do we create medical grade devices that are not so antimicrobial. They address the 6601, but so it's that level of complexity. But at the same time, we want to make sure that our devices can actually go next to other medical devices in the hospital room that aren't going to interfere. So that's where the 6601 compliance, as well as the antimicrobial, anti-infection, being able to clean it with bleach, those types of things are some of the things that we're deeply passionate about and wanting to bring to the market from purely a device perspective. Initiatives like Health IT Week are great. I think what it brings to the table is it's a point in time in a given year where we raise awareness really of what's the state of the state relative to Health IT, and through some dialogue and enhanced collaboration and just more general awareness of what's actually going on within Health IT gives other folks the opportunity to listen, to learn, and engage, and I think that that's the most important thing that can happen from initiatives like this.